we've always mentioned, there are a number of things we are bringing you. Today, join me with Daisy. Daisy, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Lydia.
You're very smart.
Thank you. You two are smart.
Yeah, today's program is sponsored by Urban Events, Lien's Bakery, and St. Daniela Education Services. It's a school that receives primary children right from P1 up to P7. Our topic today is on life challenges and how we can be able to overcome these challenges. We realize that there are a number of successes that we overcome or that we achieve in life, but nevertheless still there are some challenges that we really face, and these are very important for us in different stages of life. So as we discuss our topic today, we are going to discuss in brief what are those major challenges that we normally face in life and how best can we really try and overcome some of those challenges. So Daisy, today you can give us the nature of challenges that we normally face first.
So we are going to interact, We've all had challenges. As you listen to this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Give us a thumbs up. And in case you like our videos, please don't forget to subscribe, even if you feel like this topic is not suitable for you. But just subscribe, listen to it, and share it with someone else. It might help them. So as we listen or as we present to you this topic, we know every one of us has gone through a life challenge. We all have different challenges, what you call. Let's sit in your context and see how suitable it applies to you and how you get over it. But why are we discussing this topic? We are discussing it because it is through failures and challenges that we succeed. If you find someone who has not had challenges, they will have no success stories. And usually the things that interest people at the end of the day, have you noticed, Lillian, when you actually host someone, they will want you to take them through the journey, but they will be most interested in that challenging moment for them to get to the successful part. Yeah. So as we discuss this topic, we are trying to tell you that even if you face challenges in life, you will still succeed. So there are many challenges that we normally face, but we are going to focus on about 5 or 6 challenges. And these are the major challenges that everyone faces. And the most common challenge, of course, is the financial challenges. Yes? Most times when we do businesses, when we are dealing in our day-to-day life,
or when we give birth and we have children, or when we move from one stage to another,
it is finances that help us.
Yeah.
It makes everything easy. Without finances are like blood in the body. Without blood, you cannot actually exist. So without money, you cannot exist. And most times when you see people are perturbed, they do not have money. They have lost money. They have made losses. They lack money to start up something. They have debts. So because of these financial challenges, sometimes you cannot proceed from one step to another. But at the end of the day, we shall tell you through the Sisters Empowerment Show that there is no enough money. You cannot say that now the money I have is enough. Even the people we think are rich, they have financial difficulties and problems, all financial challenges, but they have ways of getting through them. So think of that success story that you have and the financial implications it had for you to get to that side. And that is how you will actually appreciate what we are telling you, that financial challenges are the major challenges that many people face in every day-to-day life. So you're not going to find someone and they will tell you something. It will be related to money. I don't have money, we don't have food for today, my children are not going to school, I have a sick patient, a patient, of course a patient is sick. I have a patient, my landlord is demanding rent, my car broke down. All those challenges are related to finances. So we want you to actually give us those life stories or challenges relating to finances and how you overcame them. And that is the only way you can move to another level. So besides these financial crises and challenges, there are natural disasters. The natural disasters are many. You might experience floods, you know. You might be stricken by, of course, diseases and natural. I'm calling them natural disasters because you don't wake up and expect to fall sick. But sometimes certain kinds of diseases, like these pandemics, I will categorize them as natural disasters. We have things like fire outbreak. We have things like locusts attacking our crops. All those are natural disasters, and in one way or another, they will still lead you to a financial loss.
Somehow they are interlinked.
Yes. Like, for example, you wake up one day and your store is burnt down by fire.
And it was your
It's a challenge. You are doing so well, your business was booming, but the fire burns it down to
it wasn't
zero.
even insured at all. You have no fallback position.
Then I've talked about the floods. There are people who have bought their pieces of land, constructed their houses, and before you know it, it is taken by the floods, and you have to relocate. So all these are life challenges that we are experiencing. But above all, the other natural disaster that we don't want to talk about is death. Death is a challenge in the sense that we have lost our people, our loved ones, through either COVID, accidents, diseases. Several factors are causing death. But how do you handle or overcome this challenge as a natural disaster? You've lost your loved one. How do you move on from one step to another? You've lost your partner. Like you've been depending, the whole family has been depending on this father who has passed on. It's a life challenge, and it will impact on your life. It might impact on your life forever. For example, we've heard of children who lost their parents when they were young, or at whatever age, and that was the end of their life because they never went to school, they lacked in most of these necessities of life, and it has actually contributed to what they are today. Some of them are on the streets. They will tell you that when I lost my parent, the home was taken, and that's why I'm on the street. So, but how do we get out of this? We are trying to list them so that you know that even if you're faced with these natural challenges and disasters, life has to move on. Do you know of any challenge, Lilian?
You talked about in that it leads to, of course, there is fear, you know, and of course linked to assuming maybe you lose a job, so joblessness. Like you find that maybe the breadwinner at a certain point in time, it can be either the father in a house or the mother. All things were moving on well, but this one day he loses a job, and he was taking care of everyone. So you find that life is going to change. So if you used to have like 3 meals in a day, you'll find that you'll have to reduce to 1 and even up to nothing. Especially if such a situation has not been managed in a way that maybe if there is some compensation somewhere, some money or a fallback position that maybe the family had before that job was lost, or even supporting systems. If such systems were not in place to support a given family to maybe survive up to a certain point in time that they can continue to have some finances, then those challenges cannot be easily managed. So things like that.
You talked about fear, and I want to add on to your voice. Fear is one of the challenges we have. For example, you want to start up a business, but you fear. You want to start up a business, you fear to leave your job. You talked about joblessness. You fear that, okay, what will happen tomorrow if I don't have a job? And fear is the greatest enemy we have, especially in our lives. You fear, you don't know what will happen tomorrow. You know, you might even fear to go into a relationship because you're like, I'm not so sure this man might disappoint me. So fear is a great challenge that we experience.
You can never start on anything.
Yes.
Fear.
And the other challenge that we usually have in life are health issues. Sometimes you fall sick. Mm? Other times you may not be sick, but you have a patient. And because of the patient, you are affected. You cannot execute your duties at work so well. You have a business, so it has to shut down because you have to be there for the sick person. If you're the person who is sick, then you cannot work because you're sick. So how do we get out of this situation? And these challenges are real. We have to face them. They are part of our life. The other thing that I know people are experiencing, as we discuss this, meditate on that other problem that you think you've had and put it in context with what we are saying. We have been disappointed in love, affairs, and friendship. Oftentimes, we trust in people, and naturally, we are supposed to trust in people. And when we put all our trust in these people, they end up disappointing us. Some of you have had experiences with your lovers, others with friends. So these are challenges. You've been trusting this guy, he's been your husband, and then he disappoints you. Either he cheats on you or he does something you don't expect, and because of that you end up splitting. You don't want to see him again. You end up committing offenses, domestic violence, sometimes which results in death. We've been frustrated by friends, I think we all know, disappointed by our friends. You confide in them, sometimes they disclose your secrets, other times they act contrary to your expectations. So
Other times they even interfere with your plans or your activities or your family, you know, because you've been confiding in them and they use all the information to betray you in one way or another. But also, even at the job, we've seen people that have faced challenges whereby you have been committed to this job with this employer, and you do all it takes. But then when it comes to maybe promotions, rewards, you're never there. So you find that your expectations, somehow you get disappointed. And instead of finding ways of working towards that, you actually get more demoralized. Sometimes even you get stressed and distressed, and you think that you can never move from that step to another, you know, because with the challenges that we face, that is where we have to identify ourselves and even get better positions and better ways of thinking to see how best we can work on ourselves. So I think with this, it is more of the self, you know, the confidence we have in ourselves, to see if we can really be better persons, because we need to appreciate ourselves first, and also accepting reality. That is very, very important.
And lastly, I think the example I'm going to give on my side is we usually have academic or career disappointments. Academic in the sense that we've had people who have dropped out of school, or people who have gotten academic qualifications and they have not actually benefited, benefited from their academic achievements. Others are frustrated because they failed to complete their academic, they have not achieved their academic qualifications for various reasons. Then other times, as regards career disappointments, you study something and then you end up doing something, or you fail to get a job completely in your career path or what you qualified in. So when we experience this kind of challenges, how do we get over them? Is it the end of the world? Is it a death sentence?
You know? So it is still, like you mentioned, it still goes back to us, you, the self in you. Of course, what we need to understand is that in life there is nothing that is going to be smooth. In whatever, even if it's school, I think as parents we also need to prepare our children so that they actually also understand. Right from school, you know,
Problem solving.
yeah, problem solving, right from how they behave in school, even maybe with the results. Of course, we expect high expectation. We set standards for them. You must get, you shouldn't get even below 80. You know, we set for them, but even for
The bar
ourselves,
might be so high.
the bar may be so high, and you do not put into context this person or this child, the support, or even you cannot tell the willingness or the potential in them So we need to tell them and explain to them why we need this. You know, it should be more of an explanation of why we expect this and how we guide them on how they should really be able to achieve what we expect. But when we just leave it blank to them, it becomes a challenge. And you find that some of the kids may have the potential to achieve that, but simply because they actually do not understand it. But also when they get maybe their results back, instead of them, you may find even they may be the best with the 60% in their class, but then the reaction never have the ability to find ways of addressing some of those things. But then when it goes to the natural disasters, that is again something really different. That we, like me, I really stick to the person, like yourself, like we need to accept. I know it is very difficult to accept even when we lose our loved ones. We tend to say, oh God, no, this, you know, why
finished.
me?
This is the
Why?
end.
Yeah, you know, we start to now blame ourselves. But the reality of things is that, like you talked about death, it is something, it is a constant that, you know, just like when you see someone who is expecting and we throw it this nice feeling on an expecting newborn baby, but we do not think about what actually will happen. But we still have the hope that we expect this person. So the same applies to the real life experiences, that when a challenge comes, it is something that we should take on in a positive way, but then also find ways of addressing that kind of challenge positively. I know it doesn't, it's not very easy, but we should have networks. So what we have to have at the back of our mind is that, am I the first person? Is it happening to me? Is there someone who has faced the similar challenge? And how have they been able to overcome that? Okay, you know? So it is something that is really important. So you need to get to the circles or the people that are around you that can help you to overcome such kind of a challenge.
Okay. So, Lillian, when you're actually explaining that, I want our viewers out there to meditate about that problem, about that specific problem that they have faced and how best they have come out of it. So as we give you the steps of how you actually approach these challenges, think of that problem that you have experienced, be it health, be it natural, be it academic challenge, be it fear. How did you get out of it? And then if you're still undergoing that problem, we are going to give you some of these tips of how you can overcome these problems. And Lillian, in this discussion, I think we shall be giving examples. How do we overcome these challenges?
Of course, how we overcome these challenges, first of all, you need to meditate. Think about it. Think about the challenge as it has come. Is it a job loss? Yeah. Look at it. If tomorrow I went to my job and I received a letter that maybe
Termination
a
letter.
termination letter that I'm no longer an employee of ABC and all that. You read, but then you also need to take time off, read and internalize and see why and how, you know, ask all those questions internally yourself than reacting to the person who is delivering that letter, you know. So that is when you give yourself some time to accept and find out the conditions under which that has happened. Once you take time off and you understand all those circumstances, and then you have to find out why, what can I do now about this? Was it done in what condition, under what conditions? Was it done in good faith? Was it, you know, you need to find all those, what are the legal implications? Because at times you may be terminated, under that is not really in your favor, and then maybe somehow you can be reinstated back based on the legal terms and the conditions. So then that's why, like, you need to be calm and then understand the entire situation and relax. Then you see how best you can go about it. If it cannot be reversed, then it is time for you to move on, you know, because you have to accept.
Okay. The other reason is the other way you're going to solve your challenges is taking baby steps. I think you've heard of that phrase of baby steps. In everything, whether you're saving, whether you're doing what, they are baby steps. Like baby steps, kulinga kwa avula. Take it slow at a time in solving your problem. Don't be fast, like they've dismissed you from your job, then you're like, okay, now I have to jump to this one. Before you jump to that job, sometimes you need to, if like you've been dismissed, work on yourself, work on that problem. So take your baby steps as you're solving this problem and look at some positive side in that challenge. Usually when we are faced with challenges, there is that positive side. They might dismiss you from your job, but at the point of dismissal, you feel like the whole world is over, like everything is done. But meanwhile, there is another opportunity that is going to open up for you. Or it has given you time to discover your personality and your other. It has given you time to actually soul search and discover your talents. Yes.
Remember, sister, go about that.
And the other thing is also making a list of these solutions. As you make a list, sometimes there are those positive and negative sides. So in making a list how you overcome these problems, it will help you use the elimination method and see which method works for you best. There are those times when you really are faced with a challenge, but you will have to celebrate at the end of the day and say, okay, this is what I benefited. They dismissed me from this job, but I'm going to resolve it in this manner, and resultantly, you will be happy.
So you also need to control your emotions, you know. When we are faced with a challenge, we react differently. You need to control in that you do not again affect others.
Moreover, the communication has to be clear in the sense that when you're faced with a challenge, learn to communicate. You talked about sharing it with the friends. Do not blame people. Like, for example, if you're sick, don't start blaming it on the person you're staying with. For example, you're sick and you're starting to blame your husband, your children, and everyone as if they're the ones responsible for your sickness. Try to communicate effectively. If you're sick, what exactly is paining you? Don't keep quiet and you think people will understand what challenge you're going through. Sometimes even your workmates do not know what you're going through because you cannot communicate the problem. You're sick and you cannot report at your workplace. And instead of informing your workmates that I have this chronic disease, you keep quiet. And once you're blamed, you actually think that people do not care about your challenges.
So you also need to take one solution at a time. Because you realize when you have a challenge, you will get advice from many different kind of people. So you need to try out whatever advice you're given at a time. Like you may lose a job and someone says, you get a business, you contact this person, I know this person in this organization and all that. So you need to take each and every recommendation at a time, and you have to be positive.
Resilience is another way of resolving problems. You have to be resilient. Keep trying. But in being resilient, you must have an emergency plan. Every one of us must have, that is what we usually call plan B. Like if you're employed today and tomorrow you don't have a job, do you have plan B, Didi and Riyad? Didi and Zanti, omulimu leero nga guweddeko, kubanga that is one challenge twayogeddeko, career challenge. Do you have plan B? That is the emergency plan we are talking about. So mu bulamu bannanga batulaba eyo tubeina okubeera ne emergency plan for everything. For example, sickness. Olinawo akasente k'otandikirako obulwadde bukugwiridde, olinayo akasente nti olinayo waakiri omutwalo ogwa bodaboda ogunaakutwala mu ddwaliro. Tuleme kubeerawo nga tubeerawo nagalaale nti nno gw'ogamba life will take care of itself. Yes.
So don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment. Daisy nga tukyeyongerayo nga tunaatera okumaliriza this program of ours for today. What hinders you from achieving your goals? Bintu ki ebyo ebitulemesa okutuuka kubigendererwa byaffe mu bulamu
oba n'okuresolvinga challenges? ekimu ku bisinga okutulemesa okutuukiriza ebigendererwa byaffe is big expectations or taking big steps. I'll give you an example. You want to build a house. Toyina ttaka, toyina ssente. Expectations ennene nnungi, but live within your means ky'onoosobola. It is good to have big expectations, but don't take those big steps. Nti toyina mulimu guli awo gusobola kuzimba kalina naye kalina ogyezimbyeko ogamba nina okukola ki okugizimba. At the end of the day tojja kutuukirira kigendererwa kyo. Naye bw'oba olina ekigendererwa eky'okuzimba kalina Lilian nga tolina ssente bulungi n'ogaa nti nja kgenda neekubira bbulooka step by step, kyenagambye take those baby steps. Naye ekitulemesa is taking big steps.
Ate ne tu ending up nga tufunye mu buzibu ne weewola ne ssente nnyingi. Okay.
Ekintu ekirala ekitulemesa excuses oba okwekwasa. Ebiseera bingi bw'olemererwa oba bw'oba tolina kyotuuseeko kwekwasa. Nze nolaba step mother nge yandoga. Fenna ne tulemererwa okukola ki okukola
oba tebanjagaliza.
Webale olinayo omuntu era gw'oteekako blame eyo n'ogamba mukwano gwange oyo antunuulira bubi, mukama wange nnemesa. You're always pleading excuses. Excuses ezo zirina kinene kye zitulemesa ky'abantu banandaba
batya. Ye nga nkyali muto.
Okitegeera.
Nze nsobola okukola ebyo.
N'obudde bukyali.
Kyalina emyaka. Nga twekwasakwasa.
Yes. Then n'ekirala tulina distractions nnyingi. Oyinza okubeera awo kaŋŋambe kantwala ekyokulabirako oyagala kufumbirwa. Naye ofunye n'omusajja akwagala. Naye obeera distracted ogamba bakwana bo bakudistractinga nagamba okyali muto lwaki ogenda mu bufumbo. Kyokka oyagala obufumbo. Naye nakugamba waliwo ne buno obusajja obukola ki obukukwana naye nga tebuli serious.
Kafe gy'abaaso bwa buli lunaku.
So distractions ezo oyagala okukola omulimu guno naye abantu bagamba that's not the best job for you. Then at the end of the day you find yourself actually getting off the track completely. Distractions are so bad in the manner that sometimes you may not know that you're actually being distracted. But in actual sense, the distractions are coming your way. How? Financially. You're diverting your money. You said this year I have to start on this project. But you're distracted by someone who is telling you they are going to do a wedding. They need a contribution. Or they are telling you there is land in this place and you're distracted and told, no, that place
is too far.
It's too far.
I can't go there.
So such distractions actually stop us or hinder us from achieving our goals. The other thing is lack of consistency. You're not consistent in what you're saying, in what you're doing. You're jumping.
I want this business. I want business in gold. I want now business in rentals. I want business in this.
Yes.
That is the lack of consistency. But even then, n'abantu b'obeeramu like you cannot decide. You're always consulting. Actually, kyekisinga n'otuleetera ebizibu ebyo. Obeera weebuuza kuwona okuwoli and not knowing that whichever person bw'ono obeera nga oweebuuzaako ajja kubeera nga whichever person you're going to consult on will give you their own advice based on what they know. Yes.
We have people we call perfectionists. I don't know whether you've heard about them. Perfectionism is one other challenge that stops us or hinders us from getting our goals. You want to be so perfect. I know some of us are perfectionists by nature. I'm actually reporting to you that I'm a perfect. You want this thing to be done this way.
That's life.
And sometimes because you don't give the ability for people maybe to do it in a certain way and say, let's try and see what works out. You're like, no, this is how it is supposed to be done. And because you're a perfectionist, sometimes you miss out on opportunities, on trial and errors.
No, so because with that you don't give time to listen to others. For you, you want it the way you want, you know. You're strict to whatever you think and you feel, and you're not open to any ideas. So which is also a challenge.
We also have toxic people, the naysayers. Like that person is always saying, no, she can't do this, you can't do this. There are people who will always like be at your back. Lillian, with that cash of theirs, it will collapse. Don't worry. You know, there are those people who are always like negative. So those people always hinder us from achieving our goals. So if you listen to them, don't listen to those bad negative voices. Push yourself and actually tell yourself, I can do it, I can make it. Yes. Ignorance is another thing. Sometimes you have the potential to do something and reach to greater heights, but because you're ignorant that actually when you do this you will get money, or this is how they do this to get money. So ignorance is a very big disease. And my dear followers, I would always want you to learn something new, because through learning you will learn many other things that will help you achieve your goals. For example, if you're a farmer and you know that this is the way they plant tomatoes, but there is also an improved version of growing tomatoes. If you're ignorant about that version, you will be in the garden while the other people are harvesting and planting another season, and then you still actually in this one method that is actually archaic. Yeah.
And what causes that is because we do not research, we do not consult, we are not open to ideas, we do not read, we do not. There are a number of ways
embrace
in
new
which
ideas.
you can get information. Because with knowledge, that's when you can really improve and work on yourself.
The other thing is fault finding. There are people who are fault finders. Everything they'll always find a fault. However perfect you want to be, even there are those bosses. If you write a memo, they'll tell you no, that is not how it is supposed to be. If you do something, they'll always find a fault with it. So those people actually pull you down usually. So they hinder us from actually achieving our goals. The other thing is there is also this focusing on the end result. You see, you're like, I want this double-storied building, it's your end result, but you do not focus on how do you get to this double-storied building. So because you're only focused at the end, they've told me that if I grow 1 acre of ginger, I will get 60 million. You're focusing at the end result.
You don't put in effort.
Yes, to
get there.
To work toward that 60 million. You're only looking at the end result. We always have to move these baby steps, as I told you.
Also, fear of failure. You know, there are instances where people do certain things and they always think it's going to be smooth. So when they get just a challenge, they actually withdraw, and yet you need to learn from that so that you can see yourself achieve what you expect. It is actually very, very important. You should not fear to start.
So last for me is lack of self-confidence. Many times we are not sure of ourselves. We don't even believe in yourself. You've been invited to give this presentation at an international workshop. You've been wanting to go and expose yourself internationally, but because you don't have the confidence, you have the material, you can speak, but you lack the self-confidence to present yourself. Other times you're like, it seems people don't have faith in me. Can I do that? Your boss actually assigns you something, you're going to lead the group, and you're like, I cannot manage leading that group. Because you lack self-confidence, then you cannot achieve or resolve some of these problems, because problem solving requires your energies, requires your resilience, requires a lot of determination. Like you're going somewhere and they will tell you that for you to cross over to Kalangala, you have to go through waters, and you fear the water, you're not confident about yourself. But the moment you start getting self-confidence and believing in yourself that I can do this, then you'll go to achieve your goals.
Do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Is there anything else maybe you can?
The concluding remarks I can only give our viewers is that problems are part and parcel of our lives. We cannot say, you cannot find a problem, a person who tells you that I don't have any problem. We all have problems, but the difference is how do you embrace these problems, how do you resolve them, and how do you get out of those situations. So with this video, I think you have learned something. If you do not have a solution, you can pick from some of those points we have given you, and you will apply them, and they will actually help you get out of these challenges. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. We are really proud of you, our dear viewers, because you've made us what we are. We've come from very far. We appreciate your comments. And in case you feel that you have a life-changing story that you want us to air on our YouTube channel, please don't hesitate to get to us. Our numbers are running on the screen. This show has been proudly sponsored by St. Daniel Education Services, Urban Events, and Lien's Bakery. Please contact us. These numbers are down for all those things we told you. We shall be ready to come to your place, take your story, and we shall empower people, Lilian.
For sure. Thank you very much once again, and bye-bye to our viewers.